You're back here on the program. We have had a lot of very accomplished people on this show, but this next guy tops them all. According to his own website, he's a 12th degree black belt in over 4,500 different martial arts. He also once scored 243 goals in a single soccer match, and he was the referee. He's the man of many hats. The legend Judah Friedlander from 30 Rock and more is here. Here's his bio. All right, don't get offended, but Judah Friedlander just might be better than you at everything.
Me want food!
Or so he claims. In his stand-up, Judah plays the self-appointed world champion of the world. Basically, a parody of egotistical jerks everywhere. Now, in reality, he's a 20-year stand-up veteran, a gifted comedic actor, and not nearly self-centered.
Hey.
Judah is best known for playing writer Frank Rossitano on 30 Rock.
We're out of string cheese, so I think I'm gonna take off.
Frank's look and all those trucker hats, straight from Judah's comedy act. But he's not just a one-trick pony. He has stolen scenes in his share of films and TV shows, including a couple of spots in The Wrestler.
That's excellent.
And his critically praised role in the cult classic American Splendor.
I consider myself a nerd.
Hard to believe that's the same guy, huh? Judah's transformations are a testament to his talent, but his first love has always been stand-up. He has plans to release his first comedy album, and now his egomaniacal alter ego has written a book called How to Beat Up Anybody. Please welcome back Judah Friedlander.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be here.
How are you?
Good to be back.
How's what's a typical day in the life of being the world champ?
Oh, being the world champ, you know, you wake up, beat up some people who are criminals, score with some chicks, take a break, score with some more chicks, maybe train a few cops in karate, then score with their wives. And then you just keep building from there. You know,
Right,
then you go to
yeah.
lunch, and then you start. You know, then you start the rest of the day.
You always hear about superheroes being have some sort of deep-seated conflict in their life, something that, you know, they're drawn to their job and then not. Does being the world champ, do you have to deal with that as well?
That is a great question, and no, I don't actually. And that's why I would like to announce that all these real superheroes that claim they're superheroes, they're really not. You know, I've never claimed to be a superhero, but I'm definitely much better at fighting than any superhero out there, and that's why I wrote a book on how to do karate. Batman didn't.
That's true. When Mr. T was on, was in Rocky. Remember Mr. T
Yes,
in Rocky?
Clubber Lang.
Right, he was
Yeah.
amazing. And he said that when he walked down the street, people were so on the side of Rocky that they were yelling insults at him and ready to fight him. And he's like, I was a character, that wasn't really me. At a certain point, when you're walking after a comedy night in 2 in the morning in New York, do you get harassed?
Yeah, you know, not too often. Every once in a while, someone, like I was showing my book, I was walking into a comedy club where I was about to do a show, and a guy's outside, and he sees me with my book. He's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's an instructional karate book," and you know, I'm wearing all my world champion stuff, and it's like, yeah. And literally for about 5 to 10 minutes, we get into a serious discussion, and he's getting angrier and angrier as we're talking, and then like, you know, it's like, well, you know, I do martial arts. You know, I'm an ex-Marine, and I mean, what you're doing there, that's not even right technique right there, what you're doing. And then finally after a while, I'm like, dude, I'm a comedian, you know, and this is, you should be able to figure out that this is a joke, you know,
Yeah.
and so, but,
See that picture
yeah,
of
so
me
some
in a
people
dress
don't,
beating up
yeah,
a guy?
yeah, so some people don't get it, or if they're drunk, they get confused, you know, but, yeah, it's pretty obvious, you know.
Yeah, the thing about performers, every great performer or storyteller at a certain moment finds their voice and finds who they're going to be. But the lead up to it is challenging. You know, you watch Larry the Cable Guy, some of his early comedy when he was wearing the Cosby sweater and he wasn't that guy.
Yeah, he was just Dan.
Right. How long did it take you to find this character?
Well, you know, it's weird. And when you talk about finding your voice, that's interesting because the world champion stuff I've been doing about, 10 years, I would say. And it came from a few areas. It came from, as a kid, being obsessed with the Guinness Book of World Records and trying to break the records. When I was 8, I tried to break the pogo stick world record. I had my own pogo stick. And
how close did you get?
Well, I didn't get very close, but I did get kind of bored. But I did very well. I mean, I think the record was 10 hours straight without falling off. I did an hour straight without falling off.
That's hard to do.
Right, and I was 8. And I could have gone longer, but I was also like, I don't know if this is what I want to do. This is kind of, when you're 8, you're like, your attention span's shorter, and so like an hour is a really long time when you're 8. That's like a week when you're like 25, an hour, And so I was obsessed with that. And then, in my stand-up act, I also do, besides being very joke-heavy and character-heavy, it's also very audience interactive. I like talking with the crowd. And at the time, this is about 15 years ago, I remember so many comedians, they were always just trying to be the comedian's best friend. I mean, the audience's best friend. Buddy up to the audience. Hey, we're bonding on this. Now let's do jokes about it. I decided to take the opposite approach, to really just treat the audience like you guys are just pathetic, just the total opposite, but in a joking way.
Sure.
And also making fun of people who are, and part of the world champion stuff also is making fun of people who are so arrogant and so over the top.
Now that you've reached a certain level and the 30 Rock thing has become what it is what's it like when you walk into a comedy club?
Oh, well, the comedy club is like the one place where I feel at home, where I sort of feel like I sort of belong there. Everywhere else, I kind of don't feel that way. But in comedy clubs, I don't feel that way as much anymore because, like the guys who I started with and who are at my career level in comedy, when we first started, we all had 30 minutes, 40 minutes of material. So we didn't have enough to like go out on the road where you actually make your money. In New York City, you don't make much money at all doing stand-up. You make anywhere from $0 to $75 a night doing a show, no matter what level you're at. Then to make the money, you go out of town. So we're all big enough now where we go out of town. And when you go out of town, you're the headliner. You usually don't have 3 headliners on a show. So I'm not hanging with my friends like I used to. So you're still kind of alone. And then, so a lot of the comics who are hanging out at the clubs, I mean, there's big comics too, but sometimes you go in and they're all comics who are much newer. And then sometimes they'll treat you like, oh, this guy's a big comic, let's be friendly. Or they might give you some attitude. But so you don't have that comfortable hanging out and just, talking about whatever that you used to have.
So if that's the only place that you felt at home,
Yeah.
what happens to you? Like, what are you like now when that is gone?
I don't know, miserable often,
Yeah.
depression, misery, all kinds of paranoia, all kinds of stuff. So it's weird.
But it does set in, doesn't it?
What's that?
Like that does set in the reality of I'm not the same here as I used to be.
Yeah, it can be weird. Yeah.
So you don't feel at home on the set of 30 Rock?
I do and I don't, it's, you still feel like, at 30 Rock, you always feel like you're on a team, but you never know when the coach is gonna put you into play, And then also, beyond the show, there's the network. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, what are they gonna do with the show? It's not like you can just keep doing the show forever.
Right.
Eventually, at some point, they're gonna decide to stop airing the show, or the show will decide to stop, So, but stand-up is something you can always do. And so no, I don't, and I've never really felt comfortable being called an actor, even though I do that, and I have done roles where I am doing acting. I feel weird being called that, I'm like a comedian first, but I also act. That's what I look at it.
When you watch stuff like The Wrestler, you're not doing jokes. Like you're
right.
Like do you get something out of that, like being a serious being?
Yeah, it can be fun. I like doing roles that, like The Wrestler or American Splendor or this other movie, Dwayne Hopwood, because I get to take a vacation from myself and get to forget about my problems and get to become someone else and have their problems for a while. So it's like taking a mental, emotional vacation from yourself, which can be great, And then you can actually learn more about yourself if you get so involved with someone else.
What did you learn about yourself after being in something like American Splendor or The Wrestler?
That's a good question, because I just said you learned something about yourself, and I'm trying to... Damn, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I better get another role and try to figure it out.
That's right. Obviously, nobody can actually defeat the world champion, so what would happen if Judah were to battle with himself? Anthropology with Judah Freelander right after this.
Yeah.
All right, you're back here on the program. We've got Judah Freelander with us, who is the world champion, also from 30 Rock. Anthropology. Just whipping questions at you. You have to handle them, all right?
Okay, I'm ready. World champion's always ready.
Favorite stand-up comic as a kid?
John Mulrooney.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the worst act you've ever had to follow?
a guy explaining how to massage a woman's breasts while playing a Barry White song. Wow. Yeah, there were no jokes. It was just him acting out that.
And backstage, are you cursing his name?
No. I actually knew the guy, and he never did that before. But that night, it was just like ridiculous. And it was like spring break. The audience was completely drunk, and that was weird.
What's the favorite thing hanging on your wall at home?
Oh, I have a lot of weird art hanging on my at home.
Good
That's
art,
tough. Well, in my opinion, it's good. Most people would probably call it crap. But I have this one painting that I got off of eBay, and he got it from a guy who claimed to be abducted by aliens. And the painting depicts his alien abduction. And it's a crazy painting with spaceships and ghosts and pyramids and little people.
Amazing.
And,
Have you
pretty cool.
Have you put a black light on it? Are there hidden messages?
No, this is actually an oil painting.
Oh,
I collect black velvet paintings too, but this is like serious oil painting.
When 30 Rock, came out, it was this great big moment. I think for a lot of you guys, it was a lot of fun. But the question I have for you is, when 30 Rock has been on for as many seasons as it has, do you start thinking about your post 30 Rock life?
Yeah, that does happen. Like, wow, I better get something going, But I've always been. I've been making a living doing comedy since, 97, 98, and, stand-up's always number one for me. But, I do think about that.
Are you afraid?
It's weird. No, it's weird doing 30 Rock. It still feels like going to school, which is a feeling I've always hated, going to school. I always look at school as like a prison sentence.
Yeah.
You do your good behavior and you get out, and then... But it's fun doing 30 Rock. And, I do think about that sometimes, sure.
Who's been your favorite guest star on 30 Rock?
Oh, there's been a lot. I would have to say the biggest thrill I got out of meeting anyone was Tim Conway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and still hilarious. And I'm guessing he's in his 80s. Mm-hmm. And, I met him, so sharp, so funny. And you think, why hasn't he been on TV every week for the last 30 years? Right. It's not like he lost it. The guy's brilliant.
The Carol Burnett show was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, any tips for dealing with hat head?
With hat head?
Yeah.
Leave your hat on.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you had to wear one, you had to choose between a cowboy hat or a beret, which would you choose?
Cowboy hat all the way.
All right. Who would win in a fight between you and yourself?
Oh, I would win. Definitely. Who's yourself? I don't know who that is.
How would you win?
How would I win?
Yeah.
Karate and strategy.
Nice.
Yeah. A copy is never as good as the original.
Fair enough.
So.
What's the best meal that you can make? What's the Judas specialty?
Oh, well, I talk about that in my book some. I have a world champion pizza sandwich, which is pretty good. It's an extra large pizza topped with American cheese, which is the greatest cheese in the world.
Sure.
And the real reason why so many countries hate America, it's not because we're invading other countries that we shouldn't be. It's our cheese is just so good. And, it's so good that each one is wrapped individually. It's that precious.
The book is called How to Beat Up Anybody. We're out of time, but here's the thing. The show's going to end, but we're not going to finish it. We're going to stick around. Yeah. If you go to Strombo.com, we'll have some more with Judah and I just sort of chilling out with you. He's actually going to show us how to beat up a mugger and a Bigfoot, or the Bigfoot. Judah Friedlander, everybody. Go to the website, Strombo.com. We'll see you over there.